Welcome back to the channel. Tonight, we're heading deep into the swamps of southern Arkansas, to a place where fog drifts like ghosts and the ground seems to breathe. A place feared by locals and avoided after dark. This is the legend of the Boggy Creek Monster, a creature that has haunted the small town of Fouke for decades. Sit back, turn down the lights, and listen closely, because some legends are more real than you think.
The Terrifying Legend of Boggy Creek Monster. Chapter 1. The Swamp. Deep in the southern reaches of Arkansas, nestled among twisting cypress trees and fog-choked wetlands, lies Boggy Creek. It is a place where the ground seems to breathe and the water reflects a moonless sky. The swamp has its own language, the chirp of frogs, the buzz of insects, and the distant echoing cries of unseen creatures. Generations of locals have avoided Boggy Creek after sunset. They know the stories, whispered at backyard bonfires, told in hushed voices at bait shops, or mumbled at the corner store. Most outsiders laugh, but to the people of Fouke, Arkansas, the monster is no joke. They call it the Boggy Creek Monster. Descriptions vary, but most agree it stands over 7 feet tall, covered head to toe in matted dark hair. Its eyes burn like distant lanterns, and its smell, a stench of rotting flesh and stagnant water, makes even the bravest hunters gag. The first widely publicized sightings began in the 1970s. Back then, families reported the creature peering into windows, chasing livestock, and leaving behind giant footprints in the mud. Fear spread through the small community, and the legend grew. Some believe it is a distant cousin of Bigfoot. Others claim it is something much older, an ancient spirit tied to the swamp itself, protecting the secrets that lie hidden beneath the moss and black water. No matter what people believe, one fact remains: those who venture into Boggy Creek at night often come back changed, if they come back at all. Chapter 2. The photographer Jacob Hartwell. A wildlife photographer from Dallas, he spent years traveling through forests and swamps across the country, capturing the rarest creatures with his camera. When he heard about the Boggy Creek Monster, he didn't see danger. He saw an opportunity. Jacob had read every article, watched every shaky documentary, and pored over every blurry photograph. He believed that if there was anything truly lurking out there, he could capture it and make his name known to the world. On a hot July afternoon, Jacob drove into Fouke in his dusty pickup, his camera gear carefully packed in the back. Locals watched him from their porches as he drove through the small town. He stopped at a diner for lunch and mentioned his plans to the waitress. She frowned and glanced over her shoulder before leaning in. "Don't go there at night," she warned softly. "Things happen out there you don't understand. Some folks never come back." Jacob smiled politely and brushed off the warning. After all, he had camped alone in bear country, followed mountain lions for weeks, and crawled through alligator-infested wetlands in Florida. What could a small-town myth do to him? That evening, as the sun dipped behind the cypress trees, Jacob loaded his backpack and headed into the swamp. The air was thick, buzzing with mosquitoes, and the ground squished beneath his boots. He carried 2 cameras, extra batteries, and a small notebook where he had sketched the map he found online. As he waded deeper into the swamp, the last traces of human sound vanished. The highway hum disappeared, replaced by the croaks, splashes, and distant rustling. Jacob felt exhilarated. This was the wilderness at its rawest. untouched and alive. Chapter 3. The Encounter. Jacob found a small clearing near a half-sunken log and set up his camera on a tripod. He waited, listening to the swamp's nocturnal symphony. He took long exposure shots of the moonlight glinting on the water, the thin threads of mist creeping through the trees. Around midnight, the sounds shifted. The frogs fell silent. Even the insects seemed to hush. Jacob lowered his camera and scanned the tree line, his heart beating a little faster now. A sudden splash echoed nearby. He turned, raising his flashlight, but saw nothing except ripples fading into the black water. He took a cautious step forward. The air felt colder, and an unexpected breeze carried a rank, musky smell, like rotting fish mixed with wet fur. That's when he saw it. Two pale, reflective eyes peered at him from the darkness. They were set higher than any animal Jacob had ever encountered. The creature stepped forward, revealing a massive shape, its fur tangled with moss and swamp debris. Its long arms dangled almost to its knees, and its fingers looked clawed, more like gnarled roots than human hands. Jacob felt his entire body lock in place. Every instinct screamed for him to run, but his legs refused to obey. The creature tilted its head slightly, as if studying him. Then it let out a low, guttural growl that reverberated through Jacob's chest. The sound felt almost physical, as if it pushed the air out of his lungs. Finally, Jacob found the strength to move. He lunged for his camera and snapped a single photo. The flash briefly illuminated the monster's face, revealing deep scars and empty, dark eyes. The creature roared and charged. Jacob turned and ran blindly, crashing through reeds and mud. He heard heavy footfalls behind him, each step thudding closer. His flashlight beam swung wildly, illuminating twisted roots and hanging vines. Jacob stumbled, fell face first into the cold water, and scrambled up again, gasping and choking. He could smell the monster now. So close, so overpowering. He burst through the underbrush and spotted the faint orange glow of his camp lantern. With a final surge, he sprinted to the light, grabbed his bag, and bolted toward the distant road, never daring to look back. Chapter 4. The Escape. Jacob reached the gravel road just before dawn. His hands shook violently, and his clothes were torn and soaked in mud and blood from scrapes. He collapsed beside his truck, lungs burning, listening for any signs of pursuit. For several minutes, there was only the sound of his ragged breathing. Then, deep in the swamp, he heard it. A long, echoing howl, followed by silence. Jacob forced himself to stand and threw his gear into the truck bed. He slammed the door and peeled away, his headlights cutting through the early morning mist. When he finally reached the safety of a gas station miles away, the sun was beginning to rise. He staggered inside, startling the clerk with his disheveled appearance. Without thinking, Jacob pulled the camera from his bag and scrolled through the photos. Most were of the swamp at night. Moonlit water, twisted trees, thick fog. But one image stood out. There it was. The monster's face filled the frame. Though blurred from his shaking hands, the details were unmistakable. The wet, matted fur, the deep, hollow eyes, the jagged teeth gleaming in the flash. Jacob sank to the floor, realizing what he had captured. But in that moment, he didn't feel triumph. He felt only dread. The clerk asked if he needed help, but Jacob only muttered about going home. He deleted the photo, then smashed the memory card under his boot. Some things, he decided, should never be seen. Chapter 5: The Aftermath. Jacob returned to Dallas that same day. Friends and colleagues noticed the change in him immediately. He refused to talk about his trip, avoided cameras, and spent hours staring out his apartment window at night. When asked what had happened, he would only say, "There are things in this world we're not meant to find." He never entered another forest or swamp again. His career as a wildlife photographer ended abruptly. He sold his equipment, moved to a smaller apartment, and gradually cut off all contact with the outside world. Meanwhile, in Fouke, the legend of the Boggy Creek Monster continued to grow. Locals claimed the creature was angrier than before. More sightings, more strange noises echoing through the woods, more livestock disappearing. Some said it had grown bolder since Jacob's intrusion, that it no longer feared the edges of human settlements. On quiet nights, people swear they hear heavy footsteps along the creek bank. Hunters report catching glimpses of a massive, dark shape slipping between trees. And sometimes, if the wind is right, they smell the foul stench drifting into their homes. The town still warns outsiders. Do not go into the swamp alone. Do not chase what you don't understand. But there is always someone who thinks they can prove the legend wrong. Someone who thinks they can be the one to capture the monster and become famous. Those who try rarely return the same. Chapter 6: The Warning. The story of Jacob stands as a quiet warning to anyone who dreams of venturing into Boggy Creek. To those who crave mystery and the thrill of discovery, the swamp offers a dangerous allure. But beyond its still waters and mossy trees lies something ancient, something that does not want to be found. Some believe the Boggy Creek Monster is simply an animal, a lost relic of some prehistoric age. Others insist it is a spirit of vengeance, punishing those who dare intrude on its sacred ground. A few even believe it is a mirror, showing each visitor the darkness inside themselves. Whatever the truth may be, the legend persists. Next time you find yourself driving through southern Arkansas, look carefully at the tree line. Listen to the night, and if you smell something foul like decay and damp earth, leave immediately. Because once the Boggy Creek Monster has chosen you, there is no turning back. And if you somehow escape, like Jacob did, you may discover that some photographs should never be taken, and some stories should remain forever untold.